Welcome to another episode. What a great one that we have lined up here for you guys. Today on the show, I have Justin Van Meegen, who is actually a buddy that we've connected a long time ago, a few years ago. So it's so awesome to have him on the show. He's going to talk about the insurance business, super successful in the space with his agency and a massive operation that he's got. And then we're going to get into something really cool, which is his new venture. Once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, man. It's tough to only do one thing for most of us. So I'm excited to have you on, man. How are things going, brother?
Hey, Oscar, thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the channel. And it's been cool watching you grow. So I appreciate the shout out there. It's been cool. And I feel like, still a small fish in a big pond. There's a lot more growth to do out there, but things are going well. I mean, consistently growing. Moved to South America like you did. I'm on a territory, Puerto Rico. And you're enjoying yourself over there. So, but no, life's going good, man. Just really focused on growing the team, doubling down on the new venture I have, more obsessed than ever. So ready to take it to another level.
Man, it's so awesome. It's so likewise, like I said, I was, I think the second like podcast I ever did in insurance was actually, or YouTube or just any type of show like this, was actually with you. You were kind enough to have me on your channel, and
wow, man,
I appreciate that, man. One of the big things
cool.
is,
I had no idea.
I was the second one.
There was a little delay.
Yeah, I was on David's channel. David Duford, big shout out to David Duford and the team over there. But yeah, I was on his, and then it was just like he connected me with you. I think it was actually when I was still doing insurance, and it was like, hey, I think Justin needs health insurance. Do you want to reach out to him? And that's actually how you and I connected, man.
That's right. That's pretty cool. I remember that. The way that the domino effect of the ripple effect, right? This person, that person, and now look where we are. It's cool.
You never know, man. You never know where you're going to end up, what life brings your way. Business is one of those things, man. Things always come full circle, I think, just in life, but obviously in business, I think it's the same exact thing. So super cool to be here with you, man, and spend a little bit of time. I appreciate you being here. For those that don't know Justin Van Meegen, give us a quick intro, man. How long have you been in the business? What's your background? Let kind of people know who you are, and then we'll just get into this thing, man. Talk a little bit about, talk some shop and business.
Yeah, awesome. So I got licensed, I think, in like 2018, maybe late 2017. I was one of those people who took forever to get licensed. So it took me like 9 months. I had a bad background. It delayed my licensing process. I had a heroin problem for like 4 years. So that happens. You do things sometimes that, create complications later, but by the grace of God, I was given this opportunity to be in the insurance industry, and it's completely changed my life. So, all thanks to him. But before that, before insurance, I sold cars a few years. Before that, I had, the issues I was talking about. I got into insurance. It was funny. I was actually recruited by a guy at AIL, and he was like, "Don't work here though. You want to work somewhere else," which like never happens. Right. So looking back, it's funny because who says that, you should work, but not in this business. Or not in my company. And then but I appreciate the honesty, right? So, but so I'm not saying they're a bad company, just for him, it wasn't a good fit, right? So, but then I started marketing. I started selling with New York Life for a few months. The door-to-door in Boca Raton, really me from the Northeast, suit in the summer didn't really fit well. So I did okay, transferred to independent model, started selling final expense, learned how to advertise on social media. Like 5 years ago when it was like, leads are like $2 each, something crazy.
Incredible.
So I know, like high intent local leads, $2. So I started doing that. I know. And then just progressed to telesales, had too many leads to sell, hired some agents to sell with me, family member, close friend, and then grew from there, grew a team. Joined with the IMO I'm with now. We run a free lead program type of thing, like reduced comp, unlimited leads, not free leads. It's reduced comp with leads essentially, right? Bonuses, stuff like that. and been growing the team for the last few years now. I have 4 legs under me, 4 or 5 legs, and we do about 250. We were doing like about 300,000 a week. We had some internal changes that have dropped production a little bit, but we'll pick up, just like software system changes that always impact stuff, but we're picking back up. So that's where we are now. And then I started, it was November of 2023. I decided to start a pre-licensed education company, and just been growing that. It's taken pretty much since then to get it going. I have a YouTube channel that teaches people how to sell, growing from there, and tested out all the products through my viewers, right? So it's cool because as I was growing, I built this channel to help people get licensed and my own internals. And then I realized how many people I was helping. I'm like, man, I think I got something here. So I'm like, why don't I make a course? And like, it can't be that hard. And it is actually really hard. So fast forward 15 months later and we're here, and we got that going now, and it's we're outperforming on my internals any other education program we've ever used, like by far, and other people who are utilizing it are having the same experience. So it's cool to be able to, the goal is to get more agents making money, and like if I can get someone licensed faster and producing faster, then that's like in the first time, so they don't get discouraged and like quit or something, then that's the goal. So that's where we're at now.
Man, what an intro, bro. You're humble, but man, you've had, obviously, you've lived a serious life. You've had some issues, like you said, you came across, and and man, I think most of us, it's interesting, like the people that have gone through really difficult periods in life, whatever that might be, addiction, whatever it is, I think those are the people that you really find that from going through those things, man, you get stronger, right? You come out the other side, and it's like, wow, man, if you can face that and get through that, the fear to fail, the fear to try something, to put yourself out there, it doesn't go away, but it certainly is like, man, I can do this, right? If I made it through this really bad situation in my life, and here I am, and man, kudos to you, because addiction, I've never been in that position, but I do know many friends from being in South Florida, which I know you lived in for many years. Like, I grew up in South Florida, and so I grew up in that environment heavily, and I just, by the grace of God, I didn't just fall in, and take some bad turns, but I definitely got really close, and I went through some really, really tough stuff. And now, right, like, I think where we are, it's like, man, you're able to get through things, to fight, to face challenges like most can't, right? Would you agree with that?
100%. I totally agree. Part of me feels like in one aspect, I'm almost on borrowed time. Like, stuff I did and went through, 90% of the people who went through the same stuff aren't alive anymore. So it's like not 90%, I mean, a high percent, or they're, not in a situation. So yeah, part of me feels like I'm on borrowed time, like, hey, I was given this, like, why me? Right. And then another part of me feels like I'm just desensitized emotionally to stress and traumatic situations. It's just like, and I'm willing to take the risk. And it's like, hey, like, what? I mean, sometimes it's like, if you hit a bottom so low, everything else is better. So it's like, and then once you make money the first time around, and like, I'm not rich by any means, but once you have some success in business, like, once you start to see that, you kind of get the confidence that, hey, like, if something happens, I'll be okay, because like, I've done it before, and I know it's not like the first time's the hardest, and then the second time it's like, okay, cool. Like, there's a, we see it all the time in our industry where people have switch systems or opportunities, and once they crush it somewhere else, they grow, like, somewhere else, boom, and they're right back. Like, what took them 5 years to do somewhere else, in 6 months to a year, they're right back. So
no, it's incredible, man. I wanted to talk about that because it's something that I feel the same way, right? Like, my wife, we'll talk about it. She's, younger than I am, but since her and I have been together, man, people that were around me, it's in the hundreds of people that have passed away around me. And, from close people to people that I kind of knew, but just, and she's always been like, my God, it's so crazy. Like how many people you know that have passed in the last, 10, 15 years, 20 years since I graduated high school. And for me, what turned me around was joining the Marine Corps. I was at a place in life where I was doing all kinds of nonsense, and so that was kind of my turning point of like, man, if I don't make a change here, I'm going to end up, dead or in jail for sure. And here we are today. You know what I mean? So it's just an incredible journey, man. You never know where life is going to bring you, the opportunities that life is going to present to us. So it's really awesome to be able to share that with you and talk a little bit about that. Obviously, you got into insurance. You did car sales for a while. You got into insurance. Like, what were your biggest challenges? Obviously, now you've grown an agency. You guys are doing 300,000 a week. I mean, some decent numbers, man. Like, what were your initial challenges when you first started in insurance that you kind of found took you the longest to like figure out? And I want to know that, and other people, just because mainly the viewers are newer folks coming into the business. So it's like, what were your biggest challenges, and how did you maybe overcome them in that first couple of years that you started in the business?
Yeah. So, I'm still in a situation where I'm overcoming big challenges, right? Like that doesn't go, I feel like that doesn't go away. So for anybody watching out there who's might be a newer agent, or maybe you're thinking about building or something like that, like it doesn't really ever get to a point where you don't have these big challenges that face you every day. I think at any point in business, right? Everyone's always trying to get to the next level, and it's like, hey, I got to figure out how to get. So we're always trying to figure that out, that part. I think the toughest part is getting to like your first, like between you and a few downlines, like $1 million production essentially, right? In a year. That's like the mark. So the hardest at first, it was learning how to generate leads for myself, marketing. Because I think that's every agent's biggest problem when you start. Like, who am I gonna? I didn't know. So it's like, who am I gonna sell to? And when I started at New York Life, they literally don't believe in you buying leads. Right. They're like, and then part of it though is compliance, because they sell securities, so they don't know where these leads are coming from. So they're like, hey, I mean, if I owned a $400 billion company, I probably wouldn't want to mess with the SEC either, right? So it's so that's one of it. So when I learned about leads, I was like, well, let me figure out how to, generate these myself. And then I started working with someone who was running them for me, and they were getting a piece of the pie essentially to make my life easier. And but that was the first thing, taking care of my pipeline. I kind of had sales down. I don't think this is a hard product to sell. We sell final expense. Right. It's like, come on. It's like every product's the same. New York Life, you got annuities, IUL, variable universal life. You got disability, group, you got a lot. And then final expense, it's like whole life, So one product, that was pretty straightforward. So I had the sales thing down, and then I started growing a team, because I didn't get into insurance to sell insurance. Right. If that makes sense. Like, of course, I got into, you needed to grow. Yeah, like, go ahead. What was that? There's a little lag there.
You knew your goal was to not be on the phone selling yourself, but really, how quickly can I get to, growing a team and, building the concept. Obviously you were the first one. And once you proved it, it's like, okay, now how do I train others to kind of do this? Right.
Exactly. So I sold face-to-face first, because telesales wasn't really a thing back then, pre-COVID. So I sold face-to-face, and I got so sick of driving around South Florida. Like, as you know, a lot of people live in a gated community. You don't have to be rich to live in a gated community in South Florida. So setting appointments in gated communities was such a pain. I'm like, man, I can't even get into these places. I should have just tried to sell them on the phone when I talked to them originally. And my upline at the time, before Matt Mungia, he's a really, really good dude. He was like, telesales is cool. He's like, I can't tell you the first thing about it though. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, go figure it out. And I did. And then, so that was a challenge I ran into. But then building and growing the team was next, because I wanted to start a business to be able to provide opportunity to other people. So that's really I want to take care of my father. I want to take care of my family, my friends who stuck by me during that like tough time of my life. And that's really, really, really important to me. And I was like, hey, the best way for me to do that is to start a business that I can end up providing them opportunities or financial support or whatever. And that's ultimately, the goal of it. So that was like my first initial, push towards it. I'm like, I can help people if I sell, but I can help way more people if I have a team selling. So growing and scaling the team. And, there's challenges at every level of leadership. I run into it now, and, I'm overcoming challenges now with that. So.
Yeah, look, that's a great point to make, right? That like that never stops. It just changes, right? You always have new challenges, new things that as a business owner you're going to have to deal with. And like you said, at every level of business, new challenges come up, and it's interesting the management of that, right? Like you can either manage it, and a lot of people I feel like get stuck in certain places because of that, right? Because the fear of the next step, the next level. One of the things you mentioned that obviously I want to just touch on real quick is the idea of the leads, and you immediately getting into this idea of, hey, I need to figure out how to generate these leads versus like buying leads or door knocking or friends and family kind of thing. And you've been, because I remember the conversation you and I had, a few years ago when I was writing insurance. And you were at that point kind of doing some of it yourself and testing some stuff out there. And like you mentioned, it was like, man, that was, $2 Facebook leads were out there, like high intent, nonstop. And now we're, 3, 4 years, 5 years later, it's like, man, it's a different game out there. You got all these people running ads, all these different types of agencies getting in the game, in all lines of insurance. How important has it been for you guys and for you and the team to control that marketing? And at this point, obviously, again, still challenges, but you've built audiences, like you have the lead machine going. What's that brought to you, and the benefit of it for other people out there?
Oh, of generating your own leads?
Yeah.
I would never buy leads personally. So if someone sells leads, like that's, everybody's different, right? Because some people don't want to generate their own leads.
Right.
And that's clearly look how many people buy leads, right? So I'm not knocking anybody if they buy leads. There are plenty of people who buy leads who have success. I wanted to take control of it because I wanted to know, I like it. I think it's cool. Like, I think it's fun. Yeah. I think it's cool, like building an ad and you get those. And once you make a new ad and then leads come in, you're like, yes, it's like fishing. It's like, you know what I mean? Right. You're a lead guy. So you can feel it. And I'm just saying from that standpoint, it was important for me to control the lead flow. And then I had quality go up and down with some vendors I had used, and it would be good. And then it was like, okay, something must have changed, because I know I'm listening to my recordings, I'm saying the same stuff, and
right.
I ran into that company's going out of business. Oh, we have to charge more now, which I get because seasons change and stuff or whatever, and prices increase. So I was just like, let me figure this out. So that's been very important from not only from a sales standpoint, but recruiting standpoint as well, right? So it's been in both ways. It's important. Now there are plenty of successful agents out there and agencies who buy leads and go through a vendor, which is totally cool. I just went a different route with it. So
yeah, it's interesting. Like when I came into the business, and I come from e-com, that's really my background before insurance, and that's all we did was generate product sales, through running ads. And so when I came into this space, it was like, well, man, I should figure out how to generate these leads. They're out there, and I'm not going to go pay for them, and that's exactly what I did. And obviously, ultimately, then this company came about because it was like, well, I see the struggle, which is interesting, which segues us into what you've now built after being in the business for this many years, and you going through your own pain points and challenges on hiring new agents and stuff. But it's the same thing. And I feel like sometimes the best business ideas really stem from an existing business, right? Because you get to see the challenges and the things that you can improve on. And from there, you really, it's an even not an easier route, but it's you see the pathway versus like, oh, I'm starting this business completely from scratch, right? Like
Yeah.
for you, the licensing thing, it's like, okay, I know this is a need, I know this is a pain point because it's happening to me. It must be happening to other agency owners. What can I do now to improve what's actually out there, right? And I think the people that are able to see that within their own businesses and the other opportunities, really like what you've done, can capitalize on it, right? And I think that's what I did. It was like, man, there's a need for this. There's a need for people to control their own marketing and insurance. There isn't enough of it out there. And you know, and I went into it, you know, and again, challenges every day, new challenges. But let's go into that now, because now you've built, you know, you have a pretty successful agency. You got a large size team. You're growing that. Things are going great for you. And now you start this process of creating this licensing business, which is called Your Insurance License, right? Is that that's the name of it?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. So you go into it, and now you see this opportunity, and you're like, man, I'm going to start this thing. And quickly you identify that there's a lot of roadblocks and challenges. But what, I guess, you know, what were the challenges that you were facing that led you to say, you know what, I'm going to start this business? I think there's a real need for it. Like, what were your struggles as an agency owner that made you see that?
Yeah. So, well, first, I think businesses develop that are so. If when you hear people say like the average millionaire has 7 streams of income, or you know, someone's a serial entrepreneur or something like that, like you said, I think they encounter a struggle in their business and they build another business to help solve that problem, because it's not like, oh, I'm going to go start like a power washing company right now. You know,
Right.
it's something different. It's like synergistic, like one feeds the other. So, you know, that's huge. And that's like with leads, like, it's like, hey, someone's building our agency. We're not independent. We're LOA captive and, you know, the whole nine. So, but
Right.
so we don't sell leads to our agents. But if someone is building an agency where they have agents, it's like, why not sell leads? Lead business, get high quality leads, make a couple bucks and make money off the sales. Right. So it's like, you know, they're synergistic with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of, you know, I've been realizing that now. But a couple roadblocks I ran into were, first is recruiting's expensive. And like, or you have to just go out and talk to randoms all day. So, you know, it's hard. It costs a lot of money. And I was spending a significant amount of money on the courses. Or I was spending a significant amount of money on recruiting. And then I realized how many people I was, you know, were enrolling, and I'm doing the math. I'm like, hey, this is like a lot of money. This could really help me offset my recruiting costs, was one thing. And then 2, I said, well, hey, you know, if I can control that cash flow, then yes, it'll help offset my recruiting costs. And it's going to be a significant multi-6-figure income, not 7 at some point, but it will, I can also like handle the bottlenecks. So it's like, where do people get stuck? What problems are they having? Because when you recruit at scale, having like when you're just recruiting a few people a month, you can get everybody passing the exam, right? But I talk to guys who are signing up 1,000, 2,000 people a month. They might get like 10 to 12% of people actually finishing the course, right? So it's like, hey, if you can, and when you have those bottlenecks in your business like that with small percentages, if you can get that 12 to 18, you just 50%ed your growth, right?
Yeah.
So in looking at that, like when I was just using other courses out there, which there's plenty of great course companies out there. I'm not saying bad against anything. They're extremely successful, and, you know, it's all the same material, right? It's not like anybody has any new stuff about insurance. It's just, how is it assimilated? And is it broken down in a way that's easily digested, and is it broken down in a way that can be easily picked up by the average person going through the course? So, working on those bottlenecks is huge. So I'm like, hey, if I can get, and you have to find that number. So, hey, what percentage of these people are finishing? Okay, if I can get, you know, if it's 50, like with other courses I was looking, it was like 12% once we started doing volume, right? Like 12 to 13% finishing. So I'm like, if I can get 12 to 13% finishing now with, you know, extra stuff, I can control the APIs, the integrations, the automations, make it a lot easier to follow up too. Because, dude, when you're recruiting a lot of people, man, like, you got to hire someone to call all these people every day and be on their butts and send texts and stuff, you know? So it's a lot. You got 5 people. It's easy. It's like, hey, bro, what are you doing? Study. You haven't
Yeah.
logged on in 4 days. But when you got a lot of people, right? So that was one thing. So I'm like, okay, how can I get that better? And another thing was the percentage of people that were, and the percentage of people that were failing. And it's like 40 something percent of people fail on their first time statistically across the country. Typically is like when you look at the pre-licensed provider report cards on the state's Department of Insurance website, and everybody's IMO might be different. So maybe someone watching this, you're like, oh, 100% of my people pass. Cool, but you're probably not signing up 500 people a month, right? So,
right.
Like, yeah. So like, if you can beat that stat by say 10%, cool. Well, you just like, increase your other stat a lot more. And then getting people to pass on the first try is really important. And then if they don't, having that support system afterwards to catch them before they fall and be like, look, it's okay. Like, you're going to be okay. Like, let's regroup and let's do this. Let's isolate what you need to learn and make sure that at least the second time around it's going to, because don't get me wrong. The what we've built, it's not a cure-all. Like, you still have to read, you still have to, go through the content. But the goal was to find those bottlenecks, and we're still doing that now. So it's we're trying to grow with the industry, with the company and everything. So like, just make it better all the time. And I don't mind resubmitting to states for approval and all that stuff. Like, hey, better course, better ideas. Let's go. Let's put this out there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's so many good points that you made there. I think, like you said, finding synergy in your business and building products and things that can help your core business, but also continue the process of, in this case, how do I recruit better? How can I save money? How can I be more efficient on what I'm doing at scale? And it's not always about like you said, if you're at 12%, you're not trying to get to 100. You know what I mean? Like, you're just trying to go up by single digit points. And those single digits are massive, massive improvements to the bottom line, to process, to everything. And so, I think from seeing it, and again, obviously this is a new side of the business for me, right? But I get it. I understand that, man, there's a real process here, just like the same when you hire that agent, once they are licensed, to get them to be successful, you got to have an efficient system. And so you're just now covering a few steps prior to that, right? Like, now, okay, how do we get this person licensed? How do we make sure that they make it through that licensing so that then they can go into my already existing funnel to actually become successful agents? So it makes sense, right? It makes sense on every angle. What are your, like, now, because I think you did some of this, and fill us in a little bit, like your angle to reach those people, right? Because obviously agency owners will go out there, and most of them that I kind of see and talk to are trying to go for people that are already licensed, right? Especially like smaller teams are looking to just kind of take people that are already in the business. But you really did take kind of a different approach in your messaging and your content to reach that different person. So give us a little bit of insights on your thought, right? As a marketing guy, that I always like to talk about this stuff, because I think the angle you took is one of the reasons that put you where you are now, right? So shed a little light on that for us.
Yeah. So exactly which angle? Because there's a couple approaches that I've had. So
Well, just go, like, really specifically going after non-licensed people, right? And helping them learn and helping them pass a test, right? And making content to that person versus trying to go after licensed individuals and people that are already out there in the business.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's kind of a vulgar example, but unlicensed agents, like the girl that none of your friends have ever been with, it's like, and then the licensed agent, especially like YouTube and stuff, they'll bounce around from like agency to agency, which is okay. We've had plenty of people come to our team who are licensed who do like really, really well. But also it's like, I find sometimes there's more enthusiasm with the unlicensed, because licensed agents come, and I totally get it. Like, after my first experience in insurance, I was like, dude, am I going to be sold some like BS again? Right. Like, and that same thing, right? Hey, maybe that person who knew your friend was a jerk. Right. So it's like when they come from another company, they can be jaded. And if I found like people are much less trusting as a licensed agent. And it's also a little less competition too. So, and if someone didn't have success somewhere else, like what's going to make one, I feel like if someone was a really good agent, they would have stayed where they are unless the system was tough. So I've had that happen, like where it wasn't like the right system or opportunity for them. Right. And also, like, I don't know, I just focused on it. I had just weird experiences with licensed agents where they were like, come on, and then like the next shiny object, just boom, just like quick to chase that and leave really quick. And you know, and it was like they come and like, well, I'm going to use this script from where I worked. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but if you don't have success, then don't blame me. You know, like I can't tell you what to do, but you know, if you're not going to listen to me, then don't complain if you don't make enough money. So, but it's hard because I recruit licensed agents too, and I have plenty of licensed agents who have been successful. But I really focused on unlicensed because I liked the clean slate. But that it honestly comes with its own unique challenges too. Because if you get a licensed agent, they're usually familiar with the products, you know, the application processes a lot of times. And also at the agency I'm at, we're not like, we don't mass hire. Like we can't bring on 500 people tomorrow. You know, we're not like that because we're providing leads to people. So it's almost like has to be like a scalable, sustainable growth. But we provide a lot to, so this is a benefit of a licensed agent with everything that we provide compared to other places that like, wow, there's a lot of resources and support here. Whereas you get someone who's unlicensed, they may not, you know, appreciate that. But really with the unlicensed agent, you know, the struggles that I went through hiring unlicensed agents, I think are actually going to, you know, it helps me because it, you know, led to this. But I picked unlicensed agents too because that's what my upline. He was like, yeah, dude. He's like, you know, we get some good licensed agents, but he's like, you kind of want an unlicensed, and our commission percentage is lower, right? So we have people at 50% instead of 100, 120, 130 or whatever because we provide leads. So it's hard to, you know, licensed agent. It's like maybe I can make a little more somewhere else, and if I was buying leads, and it's like you could. Right. But you couldn't too, you know, you may not. So I don't know. That's a good question. That was how my upline did it. He recruited unlicensed agent primarily. And it's also like, it was easier for me to build a relationship from a leadership standpoint. Like, hey, like I brought this person in the business, brand new, help them turn their life around. And now they're going in a different direction. And even if they leave working with, because just about everybody, if you're watching this and you have an agency, just about everyone on your team is going to leave at some point. They're going to go somewhere, do something else. Like it's just how it goes. But when I have that person with me, if I want to make as big of an impact on their life as I can, so that, and I have it now. I have people who worked with me a few years ago, and a kid reached out to me the other day, and he's like, "Dude, you literally changed my life. Like, thank you so much. Where I am now, I'm crushing it, and you know, it's cool." So.
It's awesome, man. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I wanted to bring it up because I think like who's going to watch us, who's going to see this is obviously, I think, some new agents and people coming into the business, but also agency owners, right? And so I think that's the opportunity here that an agency owner has that they might not be looking at right now. They might be only focused on hiring licensed agents, and man, there's a whole sea of people out there that you can go after. Now, like you said, there's additional challenges and different challenges because you really, I would assume, right? I'm not doing this, but I would assume that you then have to have a real tight system and process funnel, right? Where, okay, now I'm going after this unlicensed person. And I think this is what you've built, right? And we'll get it. I want you to get into a little bit of that so that you can speak to that agency owner that's like, okay, well, what does this look like for a person who isn't licensed and is going to come into this thing? How can I use it as an agency owner, right? Because I think that's the secret that you're really improving upon is not just the course, because like you said, it's basically the educational part, but how do you build systems to keep people accountable, keep people doing the process, getting them through licensing? And I think that's the system that you've really built from what I've seen so far. that is a real improvement. And hearing some of the stuff that you're working on, right, that's going to roll out into this thing, it's like, man, this is a no-brainer for an agency owner. If you're looking to build a team, it's like, man, you gotta have a system like this. So talk a little bit about that, Justin. Like, what does that look like for an agency owner?
Yeah, perfect. So basically, this is a huge opportunity for agency owners to take advantage of a group of individuals who who you can like start from the ground up in reshaping and changing their life and helping them make money. You can get people who are from all walks of life, and find them to grow this. But it's there are plenty of people who I know who are agency owners who run ads on job boards and social media for insurance agents, and they just can't. They trash their unlicensed agent applicant. They don't even call them if they're not licensed. Like they auto reject. And part of doing this is like, hey, you can bring them in, but you can also capitalize on the front end too, right? So for some of our volume agencies that I work with for the course, there's affiliate programs where they can earn some of the revenue for that. So it's a totally different revenue stream where essentially someone's liquidating their ad cost by it's like, so Russell Brunson, he got me thinking about this too with the stuff with this. So he has on his ads, he has an upsell at the end. So whether you opt in to attend his event or whatever, once you become a lead, there are sales that get pushed to you for $7, $9, $10, $4, whatever it is. And his goal is to just X out his ad cost, right? So what I realized is because when I first if someone's advertising towards licensed agents, but they have these unlicensed people that they're throwing away, all they have to do is push them to a group opportunity meeting. Because a lot of people apply for jobs, they don't even literally they don't read the job descriptions. And anybody who's advertised for job, I mean, look how many clients fill out ads for final expense. They're like, oh, I didn't know that's what it was for. And it's like, really, dude? Like, how did you not know that's what this is for? So, and they're dead serious too. I mean, they are obviously not any leads that Oscar helps generate, right? But but if you guys have sold final expense, you get it. So there are some people who do that, but we take the people from our licensed or unlicensed agent job boards, posts or social media posts, ads, whatever, push them to an opportunity meeting where we go through a webinar style presentation on like Canva or Google Slides. We structure it after Russell Brunson's My Perfect Webinar format. It's not as in depth because we don't want to take too long for it, but we're just essentially saying like the goal is to get people believing that the only way to financial freedom quickly for them right now is to get their insurance license and to start selling insurance. And the best way to do that is with us. So whenever we help people structure their presentations for hiring, that's what it is. It's like, let's figure out what we can present to people to get them thinking that the only way that I can break out of this trash 9-to-5 minimum wage lifestyle right now is to, or get out of my corporate good paying job where I can get somewhere where eventually I'm going to have the time for myself, right? Because we want those talented people too. So there's opportunities for each person. And that's part of it, right? It's like, well, maybe you're here and you've had some success in your life, or maybe you haven't. And we kind of structure it to that, right? Like, hey, how can we have this be for everybody? But the goal is to get them thinking that the best way to achieve financial freedom quickly and get more time, make more money and get more time in the long run is by selling insurance. And the best way to do that is through us. So we help agency owners capitalize and liquidate their ad costs because it's expensive, man. I mean, go look at what 100 job board slot on ZipRecruiter costs. It's like $15,000 a month, right? Indeed hates insurance agents. Agencies for whatever reason, so MLM stuff. But if you figure out how to get on there, and they're expensive too, and a lot of these places want to charge per applicant now, which is wild. That never lasts. But so it's like you want to be able to offset those costs. So essentially, it becomes almost like a course sale. Like the webinar is designed to just pitch, hey, this industry is great for you. It's not lying. There's no lies in it. We're not just trying to swindle people into getting a course, but it's like becomes a separate business where it's like, hey, this is my thing. We're going to get them enrolled. And then for the people who are doing decent volume, they get a kickback. There's revenue sharing for the money that they get through their sign up. So some of these guys are making a significant income, offsetting their ad costs and even profiting on their ads. So it's like it doesn't cost them any extra money to get the people in license. And then we handle all the licensing process in the back end too. So they don't have to worry about hiring a staff member. Because some of the guys are like, man, I don't want to deal with telling someone where their fingerprints are and where their license application goes and like their background check stuff and scheduling their exam, because every state's different. So we handle that on the back end too. And that's something that I've developed over time by hiring nationwide and having high volume people come in, where a good amount of people, where it's like, okay, we have all these systems down, and I know this is a pain point agency owners run into. So like we can, we help people have this extra recruiting source to help provide more people an opportunity. They can make money with it, and they don't have to add extra staff members to handle everything either. So,
I think that's from that standpoint, obviously as an agency owner, to be able to monetize, right, a certain step in my business and provide value to a potential recruit or to a potential person, an introduction to the business. I think the webinar style is genius, right? I think that's a home run. And then as an agency owner, to be able to say, hey, I can offset some of my spend by doing this, I think it's amazing, man. And so for the actual recruit, and then we'll kind of wrap up, and below we're going to have a link where, agency owners, if you guys want to look into this and have a call with Justin and really get the breakdown of this, which honestly, like if your plan is to grow your business, this is, you got to have something like this. It's like, why would I not do this?
And I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how to convert 30% of the people that show up. Like, it's like, why not? It's no brainer.
It's a no-brainer. And so now, as far as give us this last step of it, like, so for an actual person who is going and into the course, how easy is it for them to go through it? You mentioned something that I really liked, is that you're integrating, Go High Level into this entire thing, which is obviously the most commonly used system within insurance. So talk a little bit about that, the integrations and the ease of use for not just the agency owner, but also obviously that potential recruit that's going to come in.
Oh yeah. So it's much easier to get people enrolled and signed up than from other processes. So we simplified that process. So literally every unlicensed agent roadblock that I ran into, I've tried to improve and make better. I've been through it all. So like from, hey, here's my email, go on this website and click here, and here, and put in my email and get this. It's like, it's complicated. So we made that easier. It's just 2 steps. People sign up, and some people don't have Go High Level. Totally cool. But we have it available where it's integrated directly into Go High Level. People sign up, they get put in there, and then there can be automations built for text to say, hey, welcome to XYZ agency. We're going to get you, going as soon as possible in the industry. Can't wait to help you crush it. Here's some resources. Here's the website where you access your course. I mean, they get emails for that stuff too, but people don't like reading their emails for whatever reason. So just stuff, and it's more direct contact with the agency owner. And then they can also get, as they go through different stages. So we have it like 50% complete. They go to a different stage of the pipeline, and then 100% complete. We could break it down to 100, 25, 50, 75, 100, Right. Typically when people pass the 50% mark, that's where they're going to finish the course. Like once they get 50% through, they usually finish the rest. So, an urgency too, right? Like, hey, you haven't logged in 3 days. What's going on? Right. Because we can have that built into reports and the API and everything that's analyzed. So it encourages people to go along. And then as an agency owner, it's really, I get it, bro. When you're growing, it's nonstop, especially when you got new agents. So you're closing deals on the phone. You might go in the field to help an agent close a sale. Like you're onboarding people, you're doing all this stuff. So to look at that unlicensed agent list and be like, oh my God, these people can't even study. Like, what the heck, man? And it's like, I don't have time to reach out to all these people. So we help with that, right? So we'll automate text follow-ups and email follow-ups. We're working on a voice API outbound customer service rep right now that'll actually call if someone wants to take advantage of it throughout the day, where it'll be like, hey, not like 4 times a day, but like, every other day or something, give them a call, be like, hey, just wanted to reach out, let you know that you're, this % through your course. Anything, you just want to give you some words of encouragement here. If you have some questions, you can text us at this line. Okay. And they'll be like, look, I can't answer any questions about the education of it at all, because I don't want to have any state's compliance be like, you can't have an AI instructor, or something like that. But, but just, I mean, maybe it would evolve to that at some point, but I'm just trying to be innovative and look at the pain points I had. We're like I said, where can we move the needle on those bottlenecks to get more people through? So that's what it's like for the agent, more personalization, more branding opportunities on the agency owner side, and more obviously you said the revenue thing. And then it's easy for an agency owner to track where their people are in the process of that. So it's just,
it's awesome, man.
Overall,
yeah. I mean, you've done a great job, man. I've had, obviously the ability to go and look at the system, and as I'm hoping to, bring some more clientele to you, because I do think that this is a home run for anybody out there that's trying to build a team and really grow their business. And so seeing the process and going through it, it's like, again, I'm not running an agency, but it just feels like if you're not doing this, like, man, you're just missing out on so much opportunity. And what you've built, where it's just a plug and play system to be able to do that and tap into it, make some revenue from it, offset costs, build. Again, it's a no-brainer, man. So look, I appreciate you being on. We're going to, again, somewhere below, there's going to be our link specifically to go have a conversation with Justin, and he'll kind of go into more detail on how the process is and how it works. But man, what an incredible thing that you've created. And I feel like the fact that you run an agency and you've built these things based on the pain points that you've had, like, that's how you almost know, like, man, this has got to work real seamless, because it's how you're using it, right? It's how you're building your business and continuing to expand. So it's a no-brainer, man. Look, I appreciate you being here. Justin, anything else you want to say to close up, to kind of leave people out there with?
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. And like you said, like, my growth is a testament of, it working and it being effective, and I make sure that everybody I work with, there's a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, that I can't reach out to anybody whatsoever for anything except education purposes for their course. So I understand there could be conflict of interest, saying, oh, if he has access to my agents and stuff like that. First off, I'm not in a company where we can hire 500 people tomorrow. Second, I don't have a recruiting problem. And third, like, I have all that signed. And my goal, I want to help more people get licensed and more people make money. And, that's it. So all that stuff's there, where, all those protections are in place, which actually made me think, I'm like, man, does anybody have that with any of these other companies? Like, what do they do with the data? Because that's a pretty valuable bank, right? Like, wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I think
be transparent about that if anybody had that concern. So.
No, I think, look, if you don't know who Justin is, man, you've built a reputation in this business. You're out there, and I think that this is a massive business. It's also really small, and everybody knows each other. And so, it's clear who you are and what you've done out there, and the contribution that you've made to this industry, man. I've seen it firsthand, just following you on social, and so I think you continue doing what you're doing, brother. I'm super grateful to be connected to you and have this relationship with you. So appreciate you being here today, guys. Appreciate you being here and tuning in and watching us. If this brought value to you guys, give it a like, give it a subscribe, share it with anybody else who's out there. Justin, once again, brother, appreciate you being here. And we will list all your information down below, so anybody who wants more information on this can reach out to you. Take care, man, and let's keep it going. We'll talk soon.